I think the best-selling mute at that point was the Vacchiano mute, and also people were using cone-shaped mutes, which work well for especially for quieter playing, but they don't have that zizz when you want to play really powerfully. Dennis's first mute design was the trumpet mute, the straight trumpet mute, the 5504 that we still make. And one of the reasons behind his design was to make a mute which was really in tune, because nearly every trumpet mute available at that time, back in the 60s, sounded sharp. It was considered normal for a trumpet mute to be sharp. So you just adjust it with the lip or with the tuning slide every time you play the mute. And Dennis wanted something better than that. So, he realized that wasn't difficult to achieve. It just needed to be bigger. You needed a vibrating length, which was longer than the current mutes, because they have, they really effectively made the vibrating length of the air shorter and hence sharper. So Dennis solved that by making the mute bigger than the current the mutes available at that time. Um, but also he wanted a bigger volume in the mute to create a more powerful sound, because especially playing in the London Symphony Orchestra, they were doing big repertoire. They were doing the Bartok, they were doing the Prokofiev, and he really wanted a mute which was powerful enough to cut through orchestral textures, especially in a fortissimo. So hence his trumpet mute design was not only in tune but very powerful, and I think that's the reason it still sells well today because it has those qualities and uh, also the way we make them it's got great character. It's a really characterful sounding mute. With the trombone mute, he wanted something similar, but he had another criteria as well for that because he wanted something which was small enough to fit in his hand when he picked it up off the floor to put it in the bell and take it out again. Especially when you've got very quick mute changes. It's really important that you can grip the mute, and it's longer and larger than many mutes of the 60s, but it's still compact enough to hold in one hand. Uh, and of course, when he was developing that mute, he experimented with different versions. And the version we make today was the version he tested in a recording session with the London Symphony Orchestra back in the 60s. And it was a recording session for the composer Benjamin Britten. And it was actually Benjamin Britten's choice of the different versions that he had there, which Dennis went with. So, yeah, the Denis Wick tenor trombone mute that we make these days is identical to the one chosen back in the 60s by Benjamin Britten. You would think logically that the vibrating air column would stop precisely at the end of the bell. It doesn't. It goes beyond that. I mean, I think the if the vibrating air column, if it's a short mute, if it hits the bottom of that mute, that's where the vibrating air column stops, and that's why small mutes are often sharp. And yeah, I remember being in at the Midwest band clinics once, and a trumpet player, a very good trumpet player, came along wanting to test the mutes. And his opening statement was, "Oh, all trumpet mutes are sharp," and I couldn't resist saying, "Well, ours aren't." I mean, I know that because we've tested them with players against tuning machines, and they're bang in tune. And he said, "No, no, all trumpet mutes are sharp." And so honestly, just try this, and he tried it, and he realized it was in tune. At first, if I remember correctly, I think he was so used to um, trumpet mix being sharp, he actually pitched slightly high. I said, "No, no, it just blows straight through it. It'll sit at the right pitch," and he did it that way, and yeah, it was just bang in tune. So I felt vindicated at that point.